Nobody sat down and decided to trap you in your own opinions. That's what makes this worth understanding. The system wasn't designed to narrow your worldview, it was designed to maximize your attention. The narrowing is just what happened along the way. Every major recommendation system, the feed, the search results, the you might also like, runs on the same basic objective function. Predict what will keep you engaged, then serve more of it. That objective sounds neutral, it isn't because of a simple asymmetry in human psychology. Content that confirms what you already believe can produce a small, reliable hit of satisfaction, the pleasure of being right. Content that challenges what you believe can create friction, and friction may lead engagement algorithms to recommend less of similar content over time, depending on how users respond to it. The system isn't ideological, it's just optimizing for engagement, and content that feels comfortable or confirming often performs well under that objective. The consequence has a name, the filter bubble, a term Eli Perez had popularized over a decade ago, but the underlying mechanism is older than any algorithm. Psychologists have documented confirmation bias since the mid 20th century. The tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information in ways that support what we already think. Humans didn't need a software to do this to themselves. What changed is the feedback loop. Confirmation bias used to be limited by your environment, the newspaper you could get, the neighbors you actually talk to. The finite range of a bookstore shelf, a recommendation system can greatly reduce those practical limits by drawing from an enormous pool of available content, and it can do it every few seconds forever. There's a second layer that makes this harder to notice from the inside. A feed doesn't just show you things you agree with, it can also influence your sense of consensus. Social psychologists call this the false consensus effect. The assumption that other people believe roughly what we believe at roughly the rate we encounter it. When a feed is quietly filtering out disagreement, it isn't just reinforcing your view, it's also capable of distorting your estimate of how normal that view is. You end up not just more confident, but confident for the wrong reason, mistaking the shape of your feed for the shape of public opinion. None of this requires a conspiracy, it requires only that engagement be the metric and that content people engage with more consistently outperform friction on that metric in many cases. The result can be a population increasingly confident in a wider range of mutually exclusive beliefs, with people's confidence sometimes reinforced by a system with no opinion on the matter at all. And here's the turn. If the mechanism is exposure, not persuasion, then the fix isn't trustless. Vague distrust is exhausting and doesn't scale. The fix is treating exposure itself as a resource you manage on purpose, the way you'd manage your diet or attention. Some habits that actually interpret the loop, deliberately following at least a few sources or people you disagree with, not to win arguments with them but to keep your baseline honest. Noticing when a piece of content makes you feel instantly comfortable or right, and treating that ease as a signal to slow down rather than to share faster. Occasionally searching a topic instead of waiting for it to arrive. Although search engines also use ranking algorithms, a deliberate search generally gives you more control over what information you explore than a passive feed. The deeper insight is this: certainty that arrives without friction is worth examining precisely because it arrived without friction. A belief that's never had to survive contact with a well made counterargument hasn't been tested, it's been insulated. Algorithms didn't invent the impulse to seek comfortable agreement, they just built the first widely used system efficient enough to give you an almost infinite supply of it. The people who stay clear eyed going forward won't be the ones who found a way to escape the algorithm, they'll be the ones who learned to notice when they'd stop being challenged at all.